Ben Stroud. It's been a minute, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Gareth. Yeah, it's been too long. It's been too long. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Hey, let me start by thanking you. It's we go back a long, long way. My first ever coaching experience was taking the Canterbury Under 12 Eastern team. I remember having trials at Eric one of the parks, doesn't matter, and you came along. I knew your dad. I was playing against him at the time, and you were a year younger than all the rest of the kids, and we let you trial, and I ended up selecting you a year younger than the rest, which caused some challenges. Some my first real taste of parents sort of not agreeing with selections and me having to deal with some of the fallout around that. But that was fine. It helped me kind of solidify my belief in selections, and I picked you based on not only your qualities, which were evident, but the potential that your character showed, and the background and upbringing you had. It was pretty obvious that you were going to persevere with the sport and hopefully develop into a top athlete. So yeah, thank you for coming along at the right time, and we ended up winning that tournament, which maybe helped a little bit as well, but also certainly helped me with catch the coaching bug. So yeah, I haven't probably told you that story before. So yeah, thank you.
No, I appreciate it. It's yeah, hell of a time. That was what a story. And just to, I don't know if you're going to throw it back that far. I wasn't actually a year younger. I was three. I was 3 years younger than the rest of those boys. And I don't know, maybe Stroudy told you a bit of a lie just to just to make it a wee bit closer. But yeah, I do remember that fondly. And Nelson and the boys won it. So yeah, that was I appreciate you taking a gamble on me from that young age, and must not have been an easy thing. And I think that's definitely a bold move with parents as well. But I remember that as one of the first really, really cool memories in football. So thank you very much.
No, I in my mind it definitely wasn't 3 years. It might have been two, but yeah, that's a surprise to me. But yeah, I just remember really clearly it was a great tournament. Four Canterbury teams. A few training sessions prior, and you were the tiniest kid of the tournament. But you played like a tiger, mate. You kept us in a few games. I remember the semi-final, you had an absolute stormer, and yeah, we went on to win that. And I look back at that group of players, and a lot of them went on to play senior football, but I don't think any of them now are playing. Sort of 12, 13 years on. So except yourself. So that's a testament to yourself, persevering with the game as well. Hey, you have also recently started a podcast. Yeah, I haven't really asked you much about it. So yeah, fill me in on how that came about. What's it about? What's it called? Sort of guests you on? What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, so originally was playing in Finland last year, and I had the thought, and I was contemplating starting a podcast a while before that. Didn't really have a clue where to start, where to begin. And one day I was dealing with an injury at the time, and I wasn't in the best headspace. And I was thinking, I was walking through the snow, it must have been minus 15 degrees in Finland on the way back from the gym. I was thinking, there's got to be more people in the situation, in this reality of what high performance sport, what pursuing a dream or a passion is like, and I can't be the only one struggling and having um, the tough time that I was. And I was just thinking, okay, go for it. I don't know where to start, don't know what to do, don't know what it's going to be about, but just go have a conversation. So I decided to do a little bit of planning, and I decided to call it the In the Arena podcast originally. And that was to do with the outside critics and the famous speech about being the man in the arena. And the outside critics that are going to give you a whole lot of stick, are going to constantly tell you what it's like, tell you what you should be doing, tell you what you can't be doing, yet you're the one who's facing that on your own at the end of the day. Yeah, you may be in a team sport and things, but still, as an individual, you have to battle on the field, off the field, your own demons, things like that, and to be the best that you can be. So yeah, I really dived into a bit of the high performance and the mental side of it that I had Struggled through a bit with my time at American University, just kind of the pathway that I took growing up, the highs, the lows of what my journey's been like, just to see if other people can relate. Then after that, I kind of wanted to use it as like a journal at some point as well, to tell stories of what I was actually going through at the time. So if people were in a similar situation, chasing their dream and passion, can they relate? And this is just things I'm going through. And then I was like, okay, there's got to be other people who can I talk to who's got experience in sport, other athletes, maybe psychologists or mental skills. So I've had like so John Quinn was on there, had some other athletes from who've represented New Zealand and different countries. Jordan Tafua, who's a Samoan national team rugby player, played for the Crusaders, 100 caps, and some more, which was incredible. And just diving into some lifestyle stuff too. So everything around high performance, how can we optimize this potential that we have? And yeah, I've just decided to make a bit of a switch and call it the Total BS podcast. So dive into a bit more about me being Stroud, but also the amount of bullshit that we see and that we're surrounded by at the same time, and kind of not breaking it down, but just understanding that with real people and real stories, I think that's how we learn a lot more than being consumed in the likes of Instagram, Facebook that we're constantly surrounded by. So yeah, that's a brief summary of what that was about.
Nice, mate. Yeah, keep it up. I've listened to a few episodes and some really engaging guests. So in the arena is the kind of the phase one, I guess. If you go back to Lily Allfeld on episode 1 of our Strive 365 podcast, her quote for the week is very much the man in the arena. So if you're not quite sure that's about, go and check that out. But yeah, we wish you well for that. I'll be looking and listening and fondly. Bringing it back to yourself and your sporting career, mate. So after, I guess, developing through Christchurch, you headed off to the States. You're representing Missouri State loud and proud with your T-shirt. So, without going into too much of your time necessarily in the States, I'm quite keen to find out and tell the listeners how maybe an athlete of any sport goes from New Zealand to getting into the US college system. How did that work for you?
Yeah, the process was pretty simple actually. So if I was to take myself back to that time, I would talk to someone who's either gone through it or who is currently in that situation and ask them how'd you do it. So that's what I did. I reached out to a couple of athletes that had just gotten scholarships, and I was like, oh, how'd you go about this? They put me onto a scholarship agency. So I highly recommend doing that because they know the system, they're very well connected and can use different systems to actually put the name out into to a lot more colleges instead of sometimes people try to do it themselves with a couple of emails. But if you've got well-respected agencies, they're going to help you out a lot more. So that's what I would do. I was lucky enough to have some contacts over there as well. So my old man, he knew the coach at Notre Dame, so Bobby Clark, who used to be the coach of the All Whites, and actually very good friends with Sir Alex Ferguson. So he actually invited me over to a camp so I could go over and get seen in person and play. So I went for 2 weeks during their summer, and they hosted like an ID camp, basically. I trained for 2 weeks. Each week there's a whole bunch of different college coaches that come. They watch you play games, they watch you in drills, they train you. So they train you just the exact same way as they would their college teams. And luckily for me, Missouri State head coach Mike Seabolt was there the second week, and he was my coach. So managed to impress. And after that we got in touch, and through communication with him personally and directly, and through the agency I was with, we managed to talk about a scholarship and getting over to Missouri State. I also was lucky because there were a couple of Kiwis already there, so I was able to connect with them, ask them how it was, what's it like, and they told me straight up, completely honest, that it'll be extremely hard. It will be really tough, but if you're serious about what you want to do, then this is the place for you. So that's how that process got underway.
How was education like? So forget about the sporting piece for a bit. What was the balance like? Was it similar or different to what we would experience here in New Zealand and Australia, or is it, quite different?
Yeah, in terms of comparison to university in New Zealand, I didn't go through the process obviously, but from what I hear, it's quite generous in America because you don't actually have to select what you want to study straight away. Whereas in New Zealand, Australia, you have to decide. Then all of a sudden you're committed to that pathway. There's not too much room for variation. Whereas when I went into college, I went in as an undecided, undeclared major. Was able to pick up a few different classes and then kind of go in a direction that one suited me, but also suited my schedule and what I could actually accomplish as being an athlete at the same time. So that was a massive benefit that I found.
Yeah, I the many moons ago when I went, I did a degree in Canterbury beforehand, and then I went as a transfer junior. So junior followed by senior. So I transferred a lot of the Bachelor of Sport coaching degree that I had across, which kind of accumulated about 85% of the declared major. So I spent my 2 years doing all the general ed subjects. So I had 4 semesters of a language, so I'm pretty handy at Spanish these days, public speaking, poetry, maths, statistics, American history. With very little time actually in the field of physical education. So again, another way you can get yourself to the States as a transfer student. But certainly, yeah, the education system is different. So I'd encourage everybody to explore both the sporting piece as well as the education piece. And we'll leave a couple of links to some platforms for people to research if that is something that they are interested in. Now, coming back post your time in the States, you landed back in Christchurch and you end up playing Canterbury United National League. So talk to me about your experience there. You would have been, maybe not the youngest kid in the group, but certainly not the oldest. So what's it like, in a change room with some of the key senior players? What rubbed off on you? What did you take from them? And how are you applying that stuff today?
Yeah, so when I left, it was pretty similar to when I came back. Like the team, in terms of like the key figures that you're talking about, there was like Dan Terrace, Tom Swartz, Dan Swartz, guys that had played for Canterbury a lot of times. I don't know how many caps Terrace ended up with, but it was a lot.
He was playing when I was playing.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty cool to honestly to come back and actually be able to train with those guys that I'd watched growing up as a kid. Things I picked up was definitely around leadership and how the likes of that leadership group interacted with the squad, how they treated players, the young players coming through, and how they actually communicated in terms of not just on the field but in training and how to actually get the most out of a player if he was having a tough time or if he was struggling to pick up a concept. So just the kind of encouragement. But then at the same time, not afraid to demand standards. So that's something that I really picked up from them. Going into it, I was extremely confident, to be honest. I had just come off one of the best seasons of my life playing at Missouri State. We ended up having a season of 18-1-1. We were undefeated until the second round of the NCAA tournament. So I was in a great place, and I was actually looking to further ahead and bigger than Canterbury. So I was using that as a tool, and I was trying to challenge myself in the best ways of how can I be a pro in this environment? Because that's essentially what I wanted to come off. And I was like, okay, use what I had taken, the habits and the training and the standards that I had at Missouri State, and then take that into Canterbury. And I was actually trying to challenge myself to be a leader in that sense. And there was a lot of, there's actually a massive difference. So although it was National League and playing with senior footballers, I still found that playing with a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds in college was more demanding in terms of standards. So I was trying to actually introduce that, and how can I uphold that myself, but then also pick that level up for that group too.
How did holding, some of the more senior players, I guess, to a higher standard? How did that resonate with them? Was it something they looked down at you and go, stay away, know your place, be quiet, or they go, actually, yeah, we agree, let's get around Ben, and Ben, you help us, and it's a betterment for the whole group. How did that kind of dynamic play out?
Yeah, it's not an easy. It's not easy as a younger player and coming from a different environment to like those guys who are extremely experienced and have been around that scene for a long time. But I backed myself at the end of the day, and I believe in what I was doing, what I could do, and to back it up with my actions as well. So, yeah, it was tough, but at the same time, if I knew that my level wanted to be higher and I wanted to play somewhere else, then I can't actually accept myself dropping to a certain standard just because I'm scared of someone more experienced opinion of what they say. So yeah, it was every day in training as well. It's not an easy thing, and then in games at the same time. Like, I mean, if you got to play the game with the people that you're around, right? So you have to be smart at the same time. So I'm not expecting someone to keep up with my standard of fitness or how I'm pressing, how I'm running. I've got to actually change that to suit the team and to be effective at the same time. And it was a challenge in that too, because I'm trying to bring what I've just brought from a very fit athletic team that is young college players into a more probably not structured, but more solidified team and how they want to play and what they know. So what they're comfortable with at the same time. I'm not going to expect someone else to try and run 10.5K per game with me as a centre back. And that's what we were expected to do in a different environment. So it was just about trying to figure that out. Yet, how can I still demand myself to be at the next level?
I think that's a really important piece, right? Is despite those around you, you can help lift them up on their journey, but you got to also be careful that they don't bring you back down to whatever level that they feel comfortable or the norm, or this is how we've always done it. So, as an athlete, we are football people. It's a team sport. The team is very much the vehicle to the game, but I think ideally it's around developing us as individuals. And I think speaking with my coach hat on, I'm very conscious around you as a centre back and the other centre back. Whilst you might play same positions, you certainly have different individual needs and demands that I'm not doing my job the best I can in this space. We're talking about this transition space before high performance, where results, it's not about the result of the team exclusively. It's around helping players shift forward to their next level. So it's really important to keep that in mind, to be selfish at some point as athletes and hold yourself to account. Yes, you want to get those around you move in the same direction, but it's also sometimes you need to kind of go at it alone. You post the season, you moved up to Wellington and into the Ole Academy. Now, the Ole Academy will come up a lot of times through different guests in here, and you worked under Ben Sapola. Why Ole Academy? Talk to us a little bit around pull back the curtain to really show some of the secrets or the way that they operate up there, because they have a really good habit of producing top international caliber players out of New Zealand. So yeah, keen to learn a little bit more around Ole Academy.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I decided that I was going to stay in Christchurch and sign before I went up there, and then I got a call out of the blue asking what I was going to do. I was like, well, I'm planning on staying in Christchurch, playing before, maybe looking at going overseas, whatnot. And got on the phone with Benny Sipp and Blake Jones, who was the CEO at the time. And look, I'd never met these guys, two American guys, young, who were full of energy. And basically they put it to me like I was in a state of limbo. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be and what that even looks like and what to do in the meantime, right? And he said to me, he's like, well, you're in the state. You probably want to be in the best environment that you can, getting the most training. And yeah, it's not about where you can make the money in New Zealand or what you can do. It's about how can you prepare the best to be in the next place for you. So that got me straight away. That I was sold. And I said, it took me, I think, 2.5 days to say, yeah, I'll pack up my stuff and I'll see you in 2 weeks. So that was pretty cool. And I'm very grateful for that because I've learned a lot, not just about football, but about life from those two individuals and from a lot of people who were in that environment. And look, it was a special place, really special place. I had one of the best years of my life there, getting involved with the academy, getting involved with the community football side of things. But then the on the field, how special it was, the training, getting into a little bit of coaching, and then just the playing, and what I learned from the likes of Benny was unbelievable. So in terms of secret sauce, is there? I don't know. It was special because of the attention to detail. It was special because there was a real buy-in from every single player from the ages of 12 right up until the oldest players in the first team, which I might have been one of them at the age of 23. So yeah, it was really special.
So when you say buy-in, what do you mean?
I mean, the commitment to the process of training and to learning, and like the attitude and the effort of all of the kids was incredible, because there was so much care. There was so much care behind the development of the training, of the actual coaching side of things, to make sure that the environment was beneficial for all of those players. So it allowed them a space to be present, to be able to just give absolutely everything that they had every single session, and then in the games to put that in and put it to life, which was incredible.
Can you give us any examples around, you're speaking about the care that the coaches sort of created, which, was a big part of the process for developing these athletes. So can you think of any specific examples of this care factor?
Yeah, absolutely. I think honesty is so key, and that's one thing I learned getting into the coaching space. There was to treat them like, as a player, I love to be demanded to high expectations and to a very high standard. So to talk to the players and to ask them, you could baby them. You could say, "Oh, you're doing great. You're doing this great. This can be a little bit better, or whatnot." Or you can ask them, "Do you want me to treat you honestly? Do you want me to tell you exactly what's going on, and if this is shit?" So if you're saying that to a 13-year-old, sometimes parents, or from an outside perspective, you can be like, "Oh, that's a bit harsh." But if you're trying to have a high expectation and get high, not results, but habits and learning, and for them to be able to then create that drive in themselves to be better and expect high expectations, then I think that honesty is so key. And I think that's a form of care. It's a form of love, to actually want that for them at the same time, and not to hide away or be scared of that. Maybe they get hurt, or there's some hurt feelings just on one situation.
Yeah, I think it's a skillful trait of top coaches, right, and top programs to be honest. And I spoke with previous guests around this as well. Like, there's a continuum of how brutally honest, and we might have a strong relationship, but on a particular day, I might need to dial back my honesty a little bit, or the stronger relationship means I might be able to dial it up more often. But certainly not trying to waste each other's time, or the other people within our environment, because hopefully in the space we're talking about now, it's time is not infinite. You're right in the space yourself as an athlete. You're 26. We were speaking before, and you have a really strong opinion or feeling that my time is still coming. It's not past me. I'm not too old, and I wholeheartedly support that and agree with you. But we can't stay in the space for 20 years in our particular sport, and being football. Other sports, different timelines. But certainly having that honesty and pushing the bar high, and keeping it as high as we can without breaking the athletes is really, really critical for the the transition of these athletes into other spaces. From here, you move to Finland. So again, similar to the US question, I want to hear how this came about. Was it through an agent? Was it through good luck? Was it through a connection you'd made previously?
Yeah, so that year spending with Benny, that he had some incredible connections all throughout the world. He got approached by an agent based in Sweden, the club FC Jazz that I ended up signing for. They reached out to him and said, "Have you got a centre back?" through the agent to Benny. Benny got on the phone to me. He's like, "Do you fancy going to Finland?" I was like, "Never really thought about that before. I didn't see it as a pathway, or I hadn't heard of. I know some of the boys have gone to Sweden. I know they've been to Scandinavia, and I was like, that sounds interesting." And he's like, "Could you be there in 6 days?" I was like, "All right, you're pushing it," but yeah, we'll give mum and dad a call and see what the crack is. So yeah, basically called mum and dad straight away. They were just like, "Well, what's the worst that can happen? Happy birthday. Here's a one-way ticket to Finland." So this was for a trial as well. It wasn't even guaranteed a contract or anything. Basically going over there, see how it went. And yeah, got over there, went from, well, actually, I was in Wellington at the time, went down back to Christchurch to say goodbye to the family, spent 2 days, and then took off from Christchurch and made the trek all the way to the other side of the world. Went from 28 degrees, I think it was, at beautiful Taylor's Mistake, to getting off the train in Pori, Finland, in minus 16 degrees. So it was a bit of an eye-opener. I got in, basically slept the whole night, and then got up the next day and I had a trial, and I was jet lagged as anything. Probably had minor symptoms of COVID, I think, but it was my opportunity at a contract, and I said, just gonna have to brave it. I was wearing about 5 layers of clothes, couldn't feel my toes, snood on, beanie on, ready to go under the lights at 4 o'clock because it was pitch black. Brilliant. So I just got stuck in.
I want to dig into this a little bit deeper because you're now on trial, right? Which again, for a lot of athletes in whatever sport, you're going to find yourself in this sort of scenario. So yeah, paint the picture for us. What if you had your time again, or your next trial? Like, what learnings did you take from that you can share with these other athletes?
Okay, I can actually go back a step for you as well. So with that, I after college, I had a trial at a USL championship team, and in that competition, and I went there, and I was involved with a whole bunch of other college athletes, all fighting for an opportunity to get invited to preseason, not even for a contract. And the trial was a day and a half, 3 training sessions. It's all you get to impress and try and get seen. I got told in the meeting that I wasn't loud enough. They said, "Yeah, you're a good player, but you're just not loud enough." I was like, all right. I was a bit pissed. I thought I was the only one speaking. I had a French geezer next to me who didn't say a word of English the whole time that we were there, and I was like, okay, I'll take that on the chin. Went back home to New Zealand. So then going into this trial, I was like, be loud, be me, communicate, talk. I think in any trial situation, if it's going to go back, it's just be brave to be completely yourself. Like, you're there for a reason, and I've got qualities that I know that I try to put on show. So I know as a centre back, I back myself to hit a good diag. I can break lines, I can dribble, and I can communicate and talk to people. Although Finnish are very introverted, they didn't really speak English to me. All of the training at the start was all in Finnish because I was the only international. So it's basically see and follow, and that's what I tried to do. Just you got to put yourself out there and put your best foot forward. Don't be afraid, because at the end of the day, you're fighting for that spot, and you gotta want it more. And the only way you can do that is to be the best version of you. And don't try being anyone else.
Yeah, I doubled down on that. I was fortunate enough to go through very similar experiences post my college career. Self and 2 others from our team went to down to Atlanta, and it was a tryout with all college kids, not guys going into the draft, but kind of a next tier. And there's just so many bodies, right? So many people, so limited time to really stamp yourself. And then at another one where I thought it did really well, it was sort of that first experience kind of helped prepare me for the second experience. And we talk about this at Olympic Games level. You kind of need to go through an Olympic Games to really be able to compete at the next Olympic Games. You kind of need those big event experiences. So I think more experiences we can accumulate on our pathway, on our journey, is just going to help us for where the next big opportunity around the corner. But yeah, trying to impose yourself or leaving an impression, I think is a really important one. Story, when I was trying to get into States, I had to create a VCR of video footage. This is how old we're going back. And I had to, just wanted to speak to the camera a bit like this to introduce, hello, I'm Gareth Turnbull from New Zealand, blah, blah. And I had this little mini script and I kept stuffing it up. So we had like about 20 takes to get this first little hello bit before the footage. And then I said, oh, let's put all the funny bits at the end. And that was the reason why I got signed, was the coach remembered me as this crazy kid from New Zealand who put in all of his bloopers. They remembered me out of all the other kind of maybe, maybe not. So they took a punt on me because I stood out from the crowd. So yeah, that kind of message that you were talking about, put yourself out there, be loud, be heard, be visible, bring to life your qualities, but also, have a point of difference. Now, whatever that is, each coach will look for something different, but yeah, don't just blend in. It's probably the key message that we can both share. So now you're in Finland. Is it professional, semi-professional? How would you describe that?
Semi-professional, third tier. Yeah, I think they kind of try and justify the difference between how many times a week you train. So I think the club would say that we were pros because we trained four to 4 times a week plus a game. But in terms of finances, the backing, the league, yeah, semi-professional.
Nice. And you end up getting getting given the captain's armband. So clearly some of that personal development back at Canterbury United days is shining through. But how did it feel to be firstly the captain, and what were some of the responsibilities that are overseas? You're a foreigner, semi-professional environment. What's some of the added responsibilities of being a captain?
Well, it was a massive honour. It was big for me. I think the team actually voted on the captain. It wasn't selected by the coach or the staff. It was voted on by the boys, and for me to be able to do that within I think it was 4 weeks after I got there, actually. So in that short of a time, I thought it backs you up in terms like, I must be doing something right, like and whatnot. Because I think that there's doubts that come with it whenever you're playing, whenever you're training, you're always in your own head. So it just reassured me that I was doing the right thing, and that gave me a platform to be seen and have an impact with that club going forward. The responsibilities that come with it's you're in the limelight. Like, you've got younger players, some older. Yeah, they're going to look to you when times get tough. It's how do you act? I think that's the biggest responsibility of a captain. How do you act on the field, off the field, in the locker room, when's it time to have the difficult conversations? When's it time to be that ear, or I'm not going to say shoulder to cry on, but like that person that someone struggling can confide in, can just say, look, I'm not doing the best. Can you recognize that? Can you actually be aware to have that conversation with someone? Just ask like what's going on, if they're lacking in form or if you see them down. And yeah, just to be a source of encouragement, I think, at the same time, to really find that line between accountability and standards, and encouragement at the same time.
The club wanted to keep you. They offered you a contract, but you turned it down to end up where we're speaking to you today in Perth. So why Perth? And what was the appeal? Why not stay in Finland and keep moving the teams up the ladder?
Yeah, good question. I honestly, at the end of last year, I got quite burnt out. To be honest, I was mentally, I was missing home, which I think is completely natural. I was enjoying it, and enjoying the team. The city I was in was very small. It was extremely isolating, and that year I actually spent living in a 26 square meter apartment by myself, with not too much room to wiggle. So I felt quite constrained at times, to be honest. And I think the social side of things I struggle with too, as I said before. Like, Finnish people were very introverted. I had a couple of good mates on the team, but in terms of having like a life outside of football, it was pretty much non-existent. So when you're totally consumed by it with not much outside support, it can be tough to then separate who you are from what you're doing. And that pressure, it was weighing on me a bit more than just the performance side of things. And yeah, we had a great season. We ended up getting promoted. Finnish football introduced a new tier, new second division. So we basically got promoted from the third tier to the third tier. So it would still be at a semi-professional level. And I honestly, I didn't really see myself developing or growing at that same place than what I'd already done. So for me, it was a time to reset, to get back home, and to look for the next opportunity. And then, as I said, I was a bit burnt out. I wasn't really looking for much football opportunity at that time, but it's crazy. Sometimes when you don't go looking for things, they find you. And I was pretty lucky to be in that situation. I landed in Christchurch and legitimately at the airport, I got an email that I had a contract offer from Perth Soccer Club, and yeah, pretty lucky with the coach that's here, Danny Hay, and having a bit of rapport with him and some experience before. I knew that it was an opportunity that would actually push me to grow and develop in more ways, which would be which I'm actually really excited for.
Yeah, you've used the word grow a couple of times there, and just a little bit earlier around being consumed by it all in Finland. So just keen to dig into that a little bit if you can around, some practical ways that you are trying to escape a little bit. So, whilst football or, football in your context, but sport and striving to become the best athlete you can and grab these opportunities as they present themselves is still focal point there. But what are some other things you're doing to try and create that balance and harmony in your life to ensure you're growing not only as an athlete, but as a young man and some other areas of interest as well? What are some practical tips that you think you can share?
Um, find something else. So for me, it was when I was in that situation, the podcast, how can I develop that and what other skills can I get? Maybe it's finding a part-time job. It could be as a barista, if you want to be a barista. It could be, I don't know, working at a bar, just making some extra money. It could be getting some other job experience, maybe coaching, things like that. I think, diversifying who you are, putting eggs in other baskets as well to one, occupy your mind and to be able to put energy into that. I think it creates a separation from what you're doing. And then it actually allows you to, when you get back to football, to training, to that environment, you're that person and you're ready to dial in and give everything to that instead of constantly having a non-stop thing. I have to do this, have to do this, have to do this, all for football. It's like, okay, I can go and be the best artist I can. I can go try and write a song. I can write poetry, whatever it may be. And then whenever it's time for football, be that best footballer that you can be at the same time.
I saw on your Instagram, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, your morning routine. I thought, I really like this. Do you want to share what that was?
Yeah, for sure. So something that yeah, I've been trying to experiment with, and over time trying to get these different, I guess, these different facets of life and how to optimize yourself, right? And I think it's a massive thing in the world, like right now, like biohacking and things like that, in terms of how do you get the best out of your own performance, your own human optimization. And actually, yeah, I've got to give credit to Benny Sipp as well, because he's been a massive influence in the space, and trying to help me develop as an individual too. So yeah, things like breath work, things like eating, grounding. How do you get that connection with the earth and trying to get back to the state of energy and getting that from the earth as well. I think breath work's so powerful. A bit of stretching, and then yeah, get some sunlight first thing in the morning. All these basic things actually that are so available to us. There's options to be able to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these things, but we can actually get it for free right outside our doorstep. So if not, walk down to the park, things like that. Yeah, and it's just available to get those 1%, right? So like we're talking about high performance, football, life, sport is a game of extremely fine margins. So look, if these little things can help you to become a little bit better, or it creates your just a little bit of better recovery or whatever it is, preparation. For me, it's about mindset. So start off the day on a strong foot. Like legitimately try not to look at my phone. Like get rid of that anxiety first thing in the morning, or your brain trying to tune in how many emails they got, who's DM'd me on Instagram, whatever, who's like my photos. It's get outside, see the sun. Love to just feel the grass, get that grounding. And then like exercise is so key too. And then things like nutrition and eating so key that come later on in the day, right?
It's brilliant. Like you've shared with us some of your struggles, some of your learnings from this. There's 3 or 4 great practical tips there. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you can share with me? I'm always looking for not a biohack. I think that's kind of a shortcut around things, but something that I could be trying to research a little bit more around and maybe start to test within my world a little bit, like things that you've picked up on your travels from either other players or potentially coaches.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if we're going to I'll talk about breath work first and foremost, because it's something I'm trying to implement every day. It's it doesn't only help with there's certain practices that you can use to expand your physical attributes, so your lungs and your oxygen intake. So things like breath holds, walking, running, expanding your capacity of your lungs, so that can help you obviously physically in terms of if you're on the field, whatnot. And then also just awareness, your mental clarity and how to operate at a level of just bringing yourself back to the present moment. I think it's so powerful to actually understand that where you are. I think especially as being as a footballer, it was quite incredible. So when I got to Perth, I'm thinking, I'm technically not a professional yet. I'm thinking, this place is going to help me to get to where I want to be as a pro, and I haven't even been here 2 weeks, and I'm thinking I want to be in this place as a pro. I could play here, etc., etc. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, I've just got here. I'm trying to leave. Like, I haven't even started my journey here. So I think those kind of practices bring me back to actually where I am and how to maximize the opportunity I've got right now. So I think Wim Hof breathing, one thing that everyone can search up every single day. And I think minimum 10 breaths 3 times with a breath hold in between, and then work up to 30. I think it's the basic. So yeah, it's super powerful.
Yeah.
And call it so high on your own supply of oxygen, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an area that I've kind of been exploring over the last couple of years. Wim Hof's quite a popular one, but it can be simple as like square breathing, right? 3 seconds in, hold for 3 seconds, exhale for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, and kind of, I do that sort of 3 or 4 times a day. I just catch myself, and it just helps sort of, ground myself a little bit or bring myself a little bit, as you said, into the present. And but breath work is huge. But what I'm loving from you, Ben, we haven't caught up for a number of years, is just I can see the enthusiasm around you continue to strive. That's the aim of this game, right? Is to continue to keep improving in all these little areas that help make you the better version of you as an athlete, yes, but also as a person, which, you've spoken about being balanced and having an escape, which allows you to be, in the best version of yourself when the competition time comes, and you're prepared to move around for these opportunities. So let's move on a little bit now to some of the coaches. You've spoken about Benny Sip or Ben Sipola. You're there with Danny Hay now, ex-All Whites coach. You've worked with some top practitioners. So, what makes those two guys, what makes Benny so great? Obviously Danny Hay was a big draw card to get yourself to Perth. What have you liked from working with him so far? And is there any other sort of advice, or practitioners that you've worked with that you think, other coaches listening now would, can glean some insights from?
Yeah, absolutely. So we go through them. So he incredibly demanding and pushes you to a level that not even that you're capable of. So he's got a way of you experiencing boundaries that not even your mind thought was possible. So that's one thing that I respect from him, big time. And then Benny Sitt, just unbelievable human being. Honestly, just so relatable. As I was talking about that care, he really started that from the top and brought that all the way down through the academy. So many qualities. There's a massive list. And then the other one that jumps to mind is Michael Seabolt that I mentioned earlier, coach in Missouri State University. The three things that these coaches have in common that I will always try and carry with me is that they're going to demand so much of their players, but they hold themselves to a high expectation of fitness, of health, and of lifestyle themselves, right? So Danny's an animal, works out every single day. I've seen his home gym. He's just an absolute beast. Benny Sitt, animal. Like, he is a beast. We went to Wanaka with him. We trained. We did Tim Grover's workouts. That was Michael Jordan's coach, and he was pushing us and he was doing it with us. We were doing runs with our mouths taped. He was beating everyone. Push-up competition would smash everyone. Michael Seabolt, he would be doing our own fitness tests before games. Like, we'd be on the road. I remember one game we were on the road at Tulsa University. He was running up and down the sidelines and this crazy test, would come into the locker room, bust out like 50 push-ups and then just like get into the team talk. So all this level that these guys are expecting us to be at, they would hold themselves to at the same time. And as a player, I respect that so much, because I think actions speak louder than words in every facet of life. And that is, when it comes to health and fitness, is one of the biggest ones.
Other than respect, is there any other kind of characteristics that kind of behavior generates in younger athletes?
Yeah, respect, trust. I think it makes you want to push yourself at the same time. It gives you a sense of belief, and yeah, it's so powerful. I think, and it's like, you see them doing it, or you see how they treat themselves, and if you're not, it's almost like you feel guilty, but at the same time, you want to be better, because not only they want you to be better, but they are actually demanding it themselves, right?
I think it helps with a creation of cohesion. We're all in this together. Like, it's not you and I'll tell you what to do, or it's us. I think if you create an environment where it's the us and the players and the staff are not on different pedestals, we're in the trenches together. I think that really helps galvanize a group quite quickly. So I think it's a really powerful tool. Now, it doesn't have to be be a beast in the gym, right? There's other ways and other to get the same outputs as a coach, but we're all doing the same tasks. We're all taking the bags off the bus, as another sort of example. It's not just the head coach walks off first and gets himself into the dining hall, or the coaches eat last, for example, or it's not just at a coach's table. We all sit in amongst the players to be on the same level. I think little things like that as coaches can do. We can be bring that culture element. We can bring that, you speak about developing trust. If you don't have trust, especially a team environment, good luck coming up against a team that's full of that trust and belief and cohesion.
100%.
You mentioned a one-way ticket to Finland as a happy birthday present, but I can't let you go without speaking, at some detail around your parents. So for me, the parents are a big piece of this development puzzle that potentially we don't, bring into enough. Now you're fortunate, probably more fortunate than 98% of potential future athletes, where you had both mum and dad, both at home, both who have successfully transitioned as a high performance athlete. Your mum through netball and rugby, and your dad through football. So, you don't need to say how blessed you are to have two high performing parents at home, but tell us around, some of the things that they did and maybe continue to do today to really help, foster your journey that you've gone on. Apart from good genetics.
Well, yeah, you just got to say thank you to them first and foremost. They end up listening to this. I'm sure Australia will for sure. I got to say a massive thank you. It's one thing that I think the only way to ever pay them back for the say sacrifice, I think the opportunity costs of what it takes for their kids to pursue their dreams is to give everything you've got, and no matter where you are. Right. I love the quote from Prefontaine. There was a runner: to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. So they've given me the gift, the opportunities to pursue where I'm going with college, Finland, Australia, to have a place like home in New Zealand to go back to if I need it. It's incredible. So yeah, as from a young age, they instilled a real sense of hard work, and what it takes to try and get to the top. Because you're not guaranteed it. Even if you may work harder than the next person, you may work harder than everyone, but you're not guaranteed it in sport. So there's a real sense of non-stop. Like you got to do what you got to do, and yeah, there's no sense of switching off, which was really cool. I think that I'm blessed to get that, and it doesn't just follow through in sport, but all areas of life. And mum always said, if you're going to do a job, you may as well do it properly. Like, do it properly. So I think that comes down to a lot of different things that actually stem from doing the dishes. So yeah, it comes down to everything, right? And that was just the culture we had growing up. They've been able to fly over to support me where I've been. So in America, managed to meet them in Europe as well to support, and it extends beyond just like in person. I know that wherever I am, I've still got their support, which is incredible.
But how's their role as a support person or people actually play out today? Like, are they there? Do you have a WhatsApp family group? Do you speak to them weekly on the phone? Do they serve a different type of function for you now that you're not at home, but you're still still in this transition phase?
Yeah, we got a family group chat, which is cool on Facebook, and mum and dad send through whatever they're up to. Mum was just at Pink concert down in Dunedin, and it's having a great time. Stroudy's enjoying just sending photos of the dogs and barbecues wherever he is, which is class. So yeah, it's really really cool. But yeah, in terms of support, I talk to them once a week, twice, once a week or once every 2 weeks. No, life's busy. It can get really hectic at times, like between coaching, working, training, everything. So when we can catch up, it's really cool. But yeah, they're just incredible, man. Like as you said, like you can't say that. I know I'm blessed. I am extremely, but they've given me the foundation to keep trying. And I think when I came back to the point of getting back home from Finland, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go or if I actually wanted to keep pursuing football. Mum and I were out for coffee one morning, and she just had a really honest chat with me. Like I was thinking about going down and applying for like New Zealand Police and looking at that as a career, and I wasn't too sure when that would be. And she just had a really honest conversation because she's been in the police for a long time, and she said, "Look, just because I do it, doesn't mean that you have to see this as a career." And to hear that was amazing. And then she said, "I still think that give it a year, even if you just go over there to Perth and you play and you give it everything, like what is the best thing that can come from this?" So then it started. I was in a bit of a pessimistic mindset at the time, and I was thinking, what if it doesn't work out? I'm just in the same position financially, whatever next year. And then she's like, "What's the best thing that can happen?" I was like, shit, it actually just completely rewired my brain. And I was like, wow, there's some incredible opportunities that are coming, and it's a really special thing that I can go do and achieve if I continually to put the work in. So she's always not pushing me, but just encouraging me to keep driving to keep giving my best. And yeah, that's what I'm grateful for.
Two incredible role models to sort of be able to see the path that they've trodden and as athletes, but they're also high performance coaches in their own right. So my dad coached me at football and cricket to a certain age, and then he stepped away, and I probably, if I'm honest, pushed him out a little bit as well. How is it for you to have not only one parent that's your coach, but two that are not only your coach, but high performance coaching? Coaching is what they do. Listen to me, Ben, because this is my job. I know what I'm talking about. That's a dynamic that, my dad only coached me till I was 12, right? He wasn't a professional coach, and I still struggled with trying to listen to him as dad and coach. It must have been, was it doubly hard for you having two parents like that, or maybe because they were actually coaches, they had the foresight to sort of step away? But yeah, talk to me maybe about some of the challenges and also some of the the value, the benefits of having parents that were also coaches.
Yeah, it was hard. It was tough. I think, what do they say? Like the car ride home is one of the things that kids fear the most in sport. So with dad, there's a few moments that I remember where I don't think I made him angry. I think I made him extremely disappointed in the way that I acted in games and in the field, because he knew that wasn't who I was and I can be better, and things like that. And I think sometimes that took a toll on me. I remember one game, right, where dad was the coach, but he was also the ref in one game. And I was playing for high school at the time. And shit, I don't know what kind of mood I was in that day, but it wasn't a good one. It was not a good one. I was messing up, taking it out on my teammates. He was the ref and dad. So it was a really bad combination. I remember we had a free kick and he set the wall. And because I was being a little prick, he put the wall at about 6 yards away. And I'm like, no, I want to shoot here. I'm like, that's not 10 yards. So I stepped it out and he's just like, take the free kick. And I remember just having a massive argument in the car after that. And then after, I must have been through a process of a few years where I used to take it out at referees. And it didn't take me till one day when I was actually meditating. And I thought, why am I angry at the ref? Like, he hasn't done anything wrong. And I was like, legitimately, I thought in that moment, I'm only yelling at him because of that day with dad. And I was like, when that made a switch, not saying that I don't yell at referees anymore, but I'm just conscious of it. And I'm like, I can't actually compare the two. So it was, not saying that I was traumatized by it or anything, but I just remember that moment very vividly because it was a emotional day. But as much as it was tough and went through tough times in terms that battle between coach and parent, I'm very grateful for those times, because as you said, at the end of the day, with their experience and their knowledge, you get to a time where you're like, yes, I just wanted to do the best I can. I thought I was. They were just always trying to push me to do better, because they understand that for these levels that I'm trying to reach, that's exactly what it takes. So, yeah, it's sometimes stuff. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, and you come around and actually take a lot of positives and lessons from it.
Yeah, nice. Right, let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground. Let's get into the rapid fire questions. So, Ben Stroud, pose a question for me and the audience to ponder on this week.
What is your why?
Very open-ended question. I won't get into my why, but it's certainly a great question and something I would encourage other people to spend the time on, because that kind of unlocks a lot of things from there. Provide us a concept or an idea that you have come across recently, or can share that we can implement into our weekly life.
Breath work. One hot breathing. Yeah. We covered it, but yeah, breath work.
Recommend a book, podcast, TV series.
2 books for you. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, and Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Yep. I've actually got both those books.
Yeah.
Perfect. If you had a magic wand and could wave it around and change one thing about your sport or your business or the system that we operate in within your world, what would that be?
The first one that comes to mind would be VAR, but I think that's it's a very highly debatable topic. Being a defender, I like it because it takes diving away from the game, but then it also takes away a bit of the fan fun. So yeah, I'm not too sure on that one.
If you give us one piece of advice that you've been provided with over your years.
Um, Best piece of advice I got was being told that I don't have a ceiling. So you don't have a ceiling. There's no limit to what you can do.
Amazing. Who told you that?
Benefit.
There you go. And leave us with a quote for the week.
Yeah, I've actually got it tattooed on my arm, but it's when everyone's telling you that you're crazy, mad, and you can't, hold steadfast to the vision only you have.
Perfect. And on that note, Ben Stroud, we wish you all the best with your time in Perth. Looking forward to seeing where the next step in your journey will be. Keep chipping away at that podcast, mate, and yeah, we'll see each other again soon.
Yeah, might have to extend the invite, so I'm sure we'll chat again soon. But I appreciate you for having me, and I'm extremely excited to be tuning into some more of these episodes as well. So good luck to you as well, Gareth. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for sticking through to the end of this episode. It would mean the world to us if you could hit the like or share button so we can get these amazing insights out to other like-minded coaches, athletes, and parents. Cheers.